you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Harold Green of Brightree Financial, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. Today's show is Retire Before You Die. There's a lot of people out there working way longer than they should, and some of them should have retired a long time ago. But you know what? They're just stuck. So today I'm going to share with you a couple of different things that you guys can do to make sure that you are positioning yourself to retire before you die. By the way, how was your week? My week was very interesting. It was a very frustrating week to see people losing their minds over the coronavirus. Now, I'm not making fun of it because some people have lost loved ones. They've lost their lives in this situation, just like the flu. Many people get sick every single year. Some people make it. Some people don't make it from the flu, but it just depends on a lot of different factors. And I've shared some things with you guys in some previous shows about this. But the week was a little frustrating because, to see people panic and to see people stress out. Some people had some very real fear and some very real concerns about what's going on. And more so than not, it was driven by the stock market and the mad sell-off that we've seen in the stock market. And quite frankly, it just kind of put the market in a position of being out of control. The circuit breakers had to kick in. It halted trading. I know I had some trades that were halted. I had a client call me today and say, "My God, dude, I had some great stuff in position to go through, and they stopped the trading, and my trades didn't make it." And so it was a very interesting week. And that's why I say it makes sense to have a strategy like Rapid Retire, because it is designed to help you retire and stay retired sooner rather than later. And so before I get into the show, I want you guys to go to my website, retirenow.retirewow.com, and go click on the Rapid Retire section, download the brochure, and then also click on the Game Changer forum. Get in touch with me after the show, and I'll be in touch with you to help you stop doing what you hate. Also, I want you to read the disclosure on the Rapid Retire program, because there's no guarantees that it'll put you in position to retire sooner rather than later, and the results of the program will vary. All right. So today I'm going to dig into the Rapid Retire in a little bit. But like I said, I want you to have that brochure handy, because I'm going to explain it to you in a different way than you probably heard before. I'm also going to implement it in a Barron's article that I found online. And it's about the kind of situation that makes you want to die right after you retire. That's sad. But I'm going to show you how to dissect this information for your consumption and implementation. You guys ready? All right, 1, 2, 3, let's get it. There's a lot of work in this. And so here we go. The Barron's article talks about this guy named Tracy Donaldson of Orlando, Florida. This guy, it says he had an inauspicious start to retirement. And the market had plunged 12% in the week he retired. Now, how many of you that would make you sick to your stomach? It goes on to say this is a very disconcerting and very bad timing. Yeah, right. It says Donaldson, 66 years old, who retired on February 28th after a 38-year career at Walt Disney in travel logistics and coordination. And he says, I decided not to look at my investments so I would not get depressed. Let's stop right there. Hold the brakes. Now, for me, I am constantly advising my clients to log in every so often to take a look at what I'm doing. All right. Now, this can go one of two ways. They can log in and we can be up real big one day and everybody's so excited that they hired me, or they can log in and man, we can have like that 2,000 point drop, and it makes them not feel so good. And I understand that. And if it's down, we talk about a strategy of short-term, intermediate, and long-term positions in our portfolios. So I'm going to continue. It says Donaldson's financial advisor says he plans to reassure the retiree during an upcoming planning lunch that he's going to be fine. Okay, even though Corona has driven the market mad, and the market has lost quite a bit. So let's stop right there. Now, he plans on reassuring the retiree during an upcoming planning lunch. I think that's fine, but also think that you need a lot more communication with your financial planner and your advisor, especially in the year leading up to your retirement. You guys ought to be like talking every week, every month or so, because this is a very big deal. I call it landing the plane. I used to be a former air traffic controller, and this is where The takeoff and the landings are the most deadly, and the turbulence in the air is minor compared to those two. There's a lot of communication going on when that plane takes off. He's getting his vectors, they're telling him where to go. Same thing when he lands, if there's a lot of traffic going on. So you might be looking at retiring, and boy, I tell you, there is a lot of traffic. There's things going on in your cash flow. We could be about to hit a bear market, who knows? But you have to constantly be in contact with your planner, and he has to be giving you vectors on where you need to go. All right, so I'm going to continue on. Donaldson has a guaranteed pension from Disney along with Social Security, even in a lengthy downturn. He should be able to cover his living expenses with that income without touching his retirement accounts until it recovers. Keywords here. He will be able to cover his living expenses with that income without touching his retirement account until it recovers. That's very important. And this is part of what in the Rapid Retire program of what I call flooring assets, or flooring income. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. Continuing on. Benote and other financial advisors say the retirees could be in more fragile position in a bear market because they do not have Donaldson's guaranteed income. That is absolutely correct. This is one of the reasons why I think it's better for a client to retire early and take their pension, especially when the market is up and roaring, right? So pretty soon, I think we're going to be in position to hit that restart like in NASCAR where, you have a wreck. And so in our market right now, we have had a tremendous pileup. And so once they clean away the debris, they clean off the track and get it all straightened out, you got to be in position for the restart. But backing up, when they retire and you take your pension early, I call that phase one of rapid retire. So phase one is where you retire and you find something else to do, but I encourage clients to find that something else before they walk out the door. But you also have to make sure that you have your income floor set and your buckets in place. And so the bucket strategy, we're going to get into that in a moment. So what's the income floor? So the income floor makes sure that you're covering all your basic necessities of life. They must be accounted for in your cash flow management system. And by the way, you guys got to have an awesome cash flow management system in place that looks at your inflows, your outflows. It has projections for many years to come. But a lot of clients, I don't see them with those cash flow projections. And so that's one of the first things we get into when you come in is we make sure you have the right type of cash flow management system in place. I'm going to continue on here with the article. Companies have largely ended defined benefit pensions in recent years in favor of defined contribution plans like 401ks. What's more, the market disruption comes after an 11-year bull market that has inflated Americans' retirement savings. 401k millionaires, anyone? And left many people wrong-footed. Now, this is very important. I don't think the market is inflated. The fundamentals are there. The economy is still strong. We've had some very strong job reports come out and a lot of data. We've had rate cuts, things that should be sending the market through the roof, but they're not because people are panicking and they don't know what to do. So I'm going to advise you that if you have a 401k that allows you to open up a brokerage link inside to hold individual stocks, you got to get in touch with me ASAP, 808-521-4401, and let's have a conversation about building out a portfolio inside of your 401k that puts you in position to take advantage of this restart. And here's why I think this is so important. If we are managing your 401k correctly versus sitting in a bunch of mutual funds and riding it up and down, which a lot of 401ks do, and I did a show on this previously about why 401ks suck, and it's just because of that very fact that you can't take advantage of the restarts and the market by buying some of these stocks that are down tremendously. And the other thing we get to do inside your 401k is we get to look at the winners and losers, and whoever is not performing, we get to move them out and put them into things that are performing. It puts you in better control over your account. I'm going to continue on. It says now people want to know if this is the next bear market. I don't think so, but you never know. Do a gut check and make sure you have a good quality portfolio now. Scott Bishop, financial planner at STA Wealth Management. It goes on to talk about a recent Vanguard survey of 44,000 do-it-yourself investors, for instance, found that many had become more exposed to risk in the stock market during the bull run than they might have intended to, or that were appropriate for their proximity to retirement. There's that word, proximity to retirement, landing the plane. On average, the survey found investors were far short of the bond allocations that usually help cushion portfolios from sharp losses. The average bond allocation was 23%. It just says during the bull market, they just let money run up, which is true. A lot of people, when the accounts were going great, they wouldn't, everybody loved to look at it and say, hey, this made this much that day and the other. But when it's down, people aren't looking at it. And so the article also goes on to say that advisors frequently recommend that people on the verge of retirement landing the plane, okay, I call it landing the plane, establish portfolios that are invested 60% in stocks, 40% in bonds, and on and on and on and on. The idea is to mitigate sequence of return risk, or the risk that a long stock may plunge early in retirement that could derail long-term income potential and exhaust savings while needed to cover bills later in retirement. Now, let's stop right there. That was a mouthful, all right? And so when you're reading stuff on the internet and you're trying to do it yourself and you're trying to reposition your portfolios according to this kind of strategy, I'm going to tell you guys right now that this is one of the main reasons why people are not successful in retirement. They're reading stuff on the internet and they're trying to position their retirement based on what they read. And this is where they hit something called portfolio failure in their plan. In other words, they're running out of money. All right. They don't have enough in there. Why? Because they haven't set their positions up into short-term, intermediate, and long-term. All right. I call that the bucket approach. In the Rapid Retire, we do have buckets. And so the goal of the short-term bucket is to make sure we have at least 5 years of income in there that doesn't fluctuate much. It may go up and down a little bit, but not a whole lot. And so that is your short-term bucket. And the goal is to spend all that money in the first 5 years of retirement. I don't care what you do with it. You can blow it. You can go to Vegas every day or every month. I could care less. As long as we have enough in that bucket to last 5 years, that's the deal. Then we have the intermediate bucket, and then we also have the long-term buckets. And these portfolios are built, it's based on a time horizon type of deal. So short term is 5 years, intermediate is 10 to 15 years, and long term is 15 to 20 years. Because hopefully, if you retire at 55, by the time you're 70, that's 20 years away. We want to make sure that we are rolling the assets up in these buckets. In other words, we go from long term to intermediate to short term, and we're constantly filling up that short term bucket with cash every 5 years. And this will help us avoid that portfolio failure type of thing. Had a client come in, he says, when I retire, I'm going to have $1 million. And they're saying, based on the 4% withdrawal strategy, Harold, that's only $40,000 a year. Man, I can't live on $40,000 a year. And I said, well, that's why we have the Rapid Retire program. All right. Goes on to say, to keep that risk from striking retirement savings, advisors typically review portfolios each year and move money from overinflated stock portfolios into bonds. Let's stop right there. Each year. Really? How about once a quarter? How about having your account reviewed once a quarter? I know that's what I do with my clients. I review them more times than not. I think it's like once a week for some clients, once a day for some clients, once a month for other clients. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily getting in contact with them, but I am reviewing their accounts as much as I feel that they need to be reviewed. And sometimes I think I'm doing a little bit too much, but when it comes to my clients, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can and not leaving anything on the table. I want to make sure I'm giving it everything I got. And so people are just letting their accounts run up, and the problem is they're asleep at the wheel, or they really don't know what to do. And so you're probably asking yourself, Harold, what does any of this have to do with retiring early? Well, it has a lot to do with it. All right. So first of all, many people are what I call incorrectly positioned for retirement to begin with. Why? Because the way they set the retirement up is not based on any kind of real strategy or financial plan. I say it's like getting in your car and putting a bunch of gas in it and then just driving it until it runs out. Then what? So the conventional methods are causing people to lose more money than they should. And it's putting them in some very bad positions. And so when people find out that they're in bad positions, guess what they do? When they're losing more money than they should, they tend to overreact. And I've seen situations, being an air traffic controller and knowing about aviation and watching aviation shows and all these different types of things where, the pilots tend to overcorrect. They'll either, try to climb at the wrong time or descend at the wrong time or bank or turn left or right, at the wrong time. They're trying to overcorrect, and it tends to make the problems way worse than it is. I see people, they do things like they sell all their assets in the market and they buy life insurance annuities and they say, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of losing money. I'm just sick of this whole thing. Now, I'm not against any particular product per se, but it's just kind of what I see people doing. When the market is down, they hate losing money, so they flock to safety. I understand that. But when it's up, you just can't get enough of Apple stock or Amazon or whatever it might be. Now, here's the problem with overcorrecting into certain types of products. And so Once you lock yourself into an annuity, you are pretty much stuck. And I'm going to say it right here on this show. One of the only reasons to buy an annuity is if you are using it to set your income floor. All right. So to set your income floor, that's if you don't have a guaranteed pension. The income floor is making sure that, say you retire with $1.5 million, you may put $300,000 into an annuity that guarantees you something like 40 grand a year for 10 to 15 years. That's setting your income floor. Not putting your whole 1.5 million in an annuity, because you can probably run into some serious liquidity issues down the road, especially when it comes to things like, taking care of things in your house, big ticket items, and so on and so forth, and long-term care. Also, I see people lock into things like life insurance. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of life insurance policies as part of my cash flow management system, and it's also part of my cash reserve system. Okay. So, if you don't have life insurance as some type of safe money asset as part of your long-term financial plan, you're going to run into a couple of different problems. You're going to run into problems where you're going to borrow money from someone and pay higher amounts of interest versus borrowing money from yourself and paying your own self back interest. And then you're also going to run into some estate planning problems where we built up your assets, and now you're going to end up giving 50 to 60% of your assets in your IRAs and 401ks over to the IRS because you don't have the type of life insurance that you need to help offset the taxes for estate planning purposes. So by aligning your assets with your financial plan, you know what? I really feel that's going to put you in position to retire a lot sooner than most people. Now, retiring early, I'm going to tell you guys right now, retiring early is not for everyone, but I'm going to be honest and tell you that you have to put yourself in position to retire between the ages of 50 or 60. And for you guys that are I said 55 or 60. And so if you're 50, we got 5 more years. All right. If you're 55, we got 5 more years. If you're close to 60, you're almost there. We definitely have to have a conversation because we do not know what's going to happen in the economy over the next 5 years. It just kind of depends on who gets elected and so on and so forth and how things go with trade and on and on and on. And so I want to tell you a couple of main reasons why you want to make sure you put yourself in a position to retire early. Now, you do not have to walk out that door if you don't want to. It's just that you will have the ability to walk out of that door and you will have the ability to take your vacations and not really have to worry about it. And so that's what I do encourage some clients to do is, if your income is great and you've worked your way up to the top and you're allowed to take your vacations whenever you want, take your vacations and kind of hang in there and earn the income, especially if you're still being productive on that job. But I'm going to tell you straight up, that job is not guaranteed. Okay. And also your health is not guaranteed. The 2 main reasons why my clients retire early is number 1, due to health. Okay. Or to care for aging parents. And in Hawaii, we have a lot of families where they're stuck in what we call the sandwich generation, where they have younger kids or they have older parents that they're caring for. Okay. And the other reason why they retire is because they just want to enjoy life. And so based on Rapid, they're going to be able to retire and stay retired. And so I'm going to implore you to put yourself in position to take advantage of the next market run up. Okay. And to get yourself in a position to walk out the door when things decide to head the wrong way again. And we don't know when that's going to be, but there will be a correction in the market that we're going through right now. And there is going to be a run up. It happens all the time. The market goes up, the market goes down, but you have to make sure you have a long-term plan. And so if you want my help, you want to be on board with us, you want me on your team, do me a favor, reach out to me by going to that Retire Now, Retire Wow website, downloading the Game Changer form, completing it, and then I'm going to be in touch with you to help you get ready to win. All right, you guys ready until next time? 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.